Custom villages are everywhere. I wanted to do something different, so I'm making you a custom village that is hidden from sight, kind of, and give it to you free as a Minecraft World download in both Bedrock Edition and Java Edition. In this open plains between these two Minecraft villages, a custom village under a custom lake. It's an underwater village without the villagers getting wet. Sounds like a challenge. I like that. Let's go. Before I can do anything, I need to mark out exactly where I'm going to build this village using a small sphere airbrush. I didn't want to make it a circle because then the lake won't look natural, but that makes it a lot harder to carve it out with WorldEdit. Then the fun starts, getting enough depth into the hole to fit all the structures without boring through the centre of the earth. Using a large unmasked airbrush, I started to cut massive chunks out of the ground. Doing this with a pickaxe would have taken literally months. I have to be careful though, because one misclick will undercut the walls at the sides too much and I don't want that. You can do some devastating damage to a landscape with WorldEdit. Handle with caution. I used a smaller unmasked airbrush to do some finer deleting around the edges and to get down to the lower levels and try and flatten it out a bit before I have to remove blocks by hand. Inevitably, I broke through into a number of caves, which will need to be covered up before we make the floor to our village. And it will give me a nice base to start the building and texturing of the village floor. I created the formal outline with stone blocks in an irregular pattern around the hole. I'll landscape that later. It was then time for the huge manual job of filling out the gaps and creating some walls coming down from the surface around the entire circumference. And after a little terraforming around the top, my hole is complete. Boring, but complete. I needed to give that floor a little more texture, so I added some different levels in sand to give it shape, including a raised area at one end, which will be where the entrance to this underground village will be. I will change the sand into grass blocks shortly, but first I want to texture up these walls. They're far too blocky and they need some differentiation, so I add a gradient of mossy stone, mossy cobble, stone and andesite, with a greater concentration of moss at the lower points and smoother blocks nearer the top. I've placed a glass block a few points below the top of the wall, which will indicate the maximum height of anything in the village, and it will let me know where to make the supports that I'll build in later. This glass will eventually run over the entire hole before I cover it with a few layers of water to create the lake. Now that's complete, I'm ready to build out the shape of the village itself. First, I place in the well-trodden areas using a mixture of coarse dirt, path blocks, gravel, mud and cobblestone, including an area for the village centre. And then I add some winding, less travelled paths that are simpler and are only made up of path blocks, coarse dirt and gravel to give a little bit of contrast. I needed to create a gateway to the upper world. It's not good having a secret village if you can't get in and out, but it also needs to be safe so mobs can't come in, and I plan to populate this with villagers and you won't want them to escape. I went for a relatively simple gatehouse design and I'll burrow up to the surface through it once the rest of the structure is in. Now I need to design some houses and buildings. I'm doing this on a separate square up in the air so I can see how they look much better before I place them down inside the village. I need a number of different designs from small dwellings to larger buildings, including house designs, villager stores, and also some nice decorative features like fountains, gardens and ponds. I'll be doing some freehand work inside the village too, but these designs will form the main structure of the whole thing that we're going to do together. Now the buildings are designed, I've made them into schematics which I will include in the world download file for you to use whenever and however you'd like. They'll only be available in Java I'm afraid, although the whole build itself is there for both Bedrock Edition and Java Edition to come look around or make your Minecraft 120 survival world in. I can use them all to create my village. Not too many houses that will look overcrowded, but enough to make it look authentic and natural. I created places for the villagers to sleep, live and work, and also to walk through to enjoy the scenery like the pond, the flower beds and even the rock formations. I also added some fields for the farmers of the village. They can't get out, so they have to grow everything right here. I also built up the main central area into a marketplace which could act as a villager trading centre should you turn this into your Minecraft base. There will be a number of different tradesmen available to you once the build is complete, and I'll show you towards the end of the video. The light levels are going to drop a little when it's covered by the lake, and mobs will spawn all over the place when it's nighttime, so we need to make sure there are no areas that can allow zombies, skeletons or creepers to pop in and cause problems. I used a few different designs of street lamp, and their schematics are included too, along with hidden lighting under bushes and carpet, plus fence lights using simple lanterns. I also wanted to include a nether portal into this Minecraft village. It kind of made sense to me to create a custom nether portal design in keeping with the rest of the build into one of the tall side walls of the base. I didn't want it too grand, but fancy enough to be an exciting addition to the entire structure. I made sure that the portal was closed off with gates and fences though, to avoid any wandering pigmen from the other dimension coming to stay for a visit. Before I put a lid onto this entire place, I need to give it a little bit of fancy, so I've added more stony outcrops, greenery in the form of bushes, and even the odd tree, which doesn't make sense under the water, but it's my build, so I'll do what I want with it. I also built some supports onto the walls. I put them together in wool first, but transformed them into a rocky mixture, added some slabs and some stairs, and I detailed it with a couple of glowberry vines, and that ensures the glass ceiling doesn't come tumbling down onto the poor villagers' heads. You never know, maybe one day Minecraft physics will change. Probably not. Using light blue stained glass, I covered the entire building up with a single solid layer. I didn't want it to be any thicker than that, as I quite like the idea of being able to kind of see something beneath the lake. Once that's in, I fill the top with 3 layers of water. Now, I could have used a fill command to do this, but it can cause some empty spaces to be left if you aren't careful. So I decided to go the slightly longer method of filling the space up with a unique block and then converting it into water source blocks. This makes sure there is a complete covering of water. I then give the lake a more natural feel by adding seagrass, lily pads, rushes and sea pickles, which will not only give light to the lake, but will also be seen through the glass ceiling of the village, almost like a starry night. Finally, it's time to add the external detailing around the lake. I'm joining up natural streams so they can flow in, merging the lake shore with rocks and sand, and also adding plenty of vegetation using different bushes. The lake needs to look as good as possible to increase the hidden factor of the village itself. Whilst it's not a secret base like some clever redstone contraptions might be, it shouldn't look obvious and should appear to someone passing by that the builders terraformed a large body of water to landscape their world. And with that, we are done, and I'm really pleased with it. Visibility through the water will change depending on your texture pack and what shaders you might be using, but the village can just be seen under the surface. Let's go and have a wander through it. And the entrance is behind the row of spruce trees between these 2 lampposts. Come down the stairs into this lit up chamber and through this gate, and you'll find yourself in the Under Lake Kingdom. And I gotta be honest, it looks really cool. I used glowberries hanging from the ceiling to try and reduce the number of bats that might spawn in here, because it could be dark right up at the top when it's nighttime. Let's have a quick wander through. We've got a number of villagers. There's quite a lot of fishermen because of the barrels used inside those builds, but they're not all fishermen. For example here, look, we got a little priest. You could trade with him. That'd be easy, wouldn't it? Oi, come back here. Oi, you. What you got? Rotten flesh. Yeah, if I had some, I'd give you it. I've put in a little bit of livestock. We've got chickens here and pigs, cows and sheep right here. And right in the centre of our village we've got our marketplace, and each of the stalls that we built earlier on has got someone now ready to trade with you. What will you want to give me? Coal? I haven't got any yet, but I will do soon. More fishermen obviously, and even a butcher. What are you up to? Yeah, I've got to kill those sheep and stuff, have I? Okay, fair enough. I also put in an enchantment station. I know, I'm too good to you. I made this village in Minecraft 1.19.3 so as I could use WorldEdit. However, open it up in 1.20. Make this your Trails and Tales survival village. If you'd like to download this world in either Bedrock or Java edition, then go to avamance.com. That is avamance.com, and there will be a dedicated link there for Java and Bedrock. Remember, the schematics are there for Java too. Let me know in the comments what you think, and also let me know what you'd like me to have a go at next. I'd be delighted to try. Your ideas are always brilliant, and I'll look forward to seeing you in another video. You take it easy now. Bye.